Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hayes, and in today's video we're going to be talking about what happened at Sinners and Stardust, a book convention, but unlike other book conventions we've talked about and other situations just in general we've talked about, today's video is less of like things going wrong and is basically a crime took place at a convention. So from here on out, trigger warning for sexual assault. That's what I'm going to be talking about. That's the subject of today's video. It won't be like the entire video, but it is the main point I am going to be discussing. So I'd rather you find out now instead of watching up until where we start talking about that and you find out you can't watch the rest of the video, you know? So just a trigger warning now. So let's talk about what Sinners and Stardust was before we get to, you know, what actually happened. So this is their website, Sinners and Stardust. Welcome to the dark side. We are beyond excited to host Sinners and Stardust in Boston, Maryland for a dark romance themed event. This city holds a unique place in our hearts and we are thrilled to bring together fans, authors and creators for another unforgettable experience. Whether you're a seasoned spicy romance fan or new to the genre, Boston is a perfect place to start a thrilling adventure. And further down the page there's something similar, like a similar paragraph about New Orleans, or is it New Orleans? I hear people pronounce it both ways. I'm unsure which one is correct. I'm not from the US. I don't know. However, the event in question in today's video has already happened. It took place from the 15th to the 17th of August, and while I did find the Eventbrite page for Sinners and Stardust, I couldn't find a listing for the exact event. Like, you can look at past events and it's not on there, so I didn't know if they booked the tickets for this event through Eventbrite or something else, but I could find the information for another past event, but honestly it doesn't really say much. Join us for a weekend celebrating books and authors that brought our darkest fantasies to light and introduced us to things we never thought we'd love. So grab your friends and come dressed to impress. This is a weekend you won't want to miss. So as you can see, not very much detail, and the upcoming events don't give away much either. An event dedicated to spicy romance created by spicy romance lovers. So there isn't actually that many details on their Eventbrite, but basically what they do is they have a page on their website by the looks of things that has more details about the ticket pricing, and then you click a link to the Eventbrite to go and book what you actually want. So this is for their upcoming 2026 Boston event, I believe, and you can see there are 3 different ticket types: Sinners, Stardust, Darklings. I'm not going to go through all the details of what they offer, but basically it tells you all on the website all the different kind of ticketing, pricing and stuff like that, but I don't really think that's necessary to go into for this video. But you get it, it's a book convention dedicated to spicy and dark romance, cool beans, and from what I've heard, the general experience of the con did go smoothly, as in like the operation management side of it. It didn't seem to experience any of the problems other book cons frequently do seem to experience. So the issue, or rather the crime we are going to be talking about in today's video doesn't have much to do with like the actual organisation, the running, the operation management of the con, but do put a pin in that because we are going to come back to that later, like right at the end of the video, because basically this crime was caused by the attendees at the con. And in regards to the crime I'm talking about, this was the first video I saw on the situation, which is from Kevin on Instagram.
Okay, so this past weekend, serious allegations surfaced about the Sinners and Stardust bookish event, which is a dark romance book event that they held in Boston. Well, multiple authors and attendees reported sexual harassment, groping, and boundary violations. Posts all over threads and social media described fans touching authors and cosplayers without their consent, including putting hands down pants, grabbing genitals, and even planting air tags to track people back to their hotels. What? The author H.C. Carlton, who wrote the Cat and Mouse duet, shared that her friend Animus, who I'm not sure who Animus is, but I think he's a big deal in the dark romance space. H.C. Carlton shared that their friend Animus was cornered, groped, interrogated about fictional kidnappings, and left with panic attacks.
So before we continue with Kevin's video, let's go into the H.D. Carlton stuff more, as they posted this to their Instagram. Alright, it appears I have to make a post that I'm frankly pretty goddamn upset I have to make. This post is for the readers who don't understand consent and boundaries only. A lot of you may know a good friend of mine, Animus, who is also the handle Ethereal Treason. He has attended a signing of mine in the past and obviously is a music artist. This past weekend he attended Sinners and Stardust and probably had one of the most heartbreaking experiences. So listen, he's a man, right? But do you think that means it's okay to put your hands all over him without consent? Or to put your hands in his waistband, or down his pants, or touch his dick? Do you think it's okay to quite literally back him into a corner and touch all over him to the point that he literally cannot tell how many hands are on him and whose are whose? Do you think it's okay to send him into an actual panic attack because of this? Furthermore, do we think it's okay to interrogate him and insist he detail how he'd kidnap a woman, despite him repeatedly saying he wouldn't and that, you know, this is fiction, trash talk my books to him and try to get him to join in, and then attempt to follow him when he tries to get away? He had sweat-resistant black paint airbrushed on his chest and was told the only thing that will move it is body oils. Why did this man end the night with almost all of it rubbed off and a handprint smeared across the chest? I want you all to seriously sit with yourselves and your actions and ask yourself if you would be okay with a strange man doing that to you. And if that wasn't bad enough, during the time of this mob, him and another author received a notification that an AirTag was tracking him, which showed it on his person all the way to his hotel room. He knows how AirTags work and that close-by ones can trigger notifications. This was not the case. Also, he got the notification way later because he had no signal at the event and it didn't come through until he got signal again. That is literally sickening, and I am ill that someone might have planted a tracking device on him. You guys do know that these books are fiction, right? We enjoy these books because they're fiction. We do not condone these actions in real life. And while it's okay to act out your fantasies consensually with a trusted adult, it is not okay to ask a complete stranger to do so, or take it upon yourselves to sexually assault him. I'm so incredibly disappointed that he was treated this way. I brought him into the space because I trusted he would be safe with you all. And the fact that he wasn't is quite eye-opening. And boy, does this affect my decisions for my own future attendances. Especially because he was not the only one disrespected at this event by a long shot. So many authors are coming out about people crossing boundaries in a multitude of ways. I've had to have this conversation before with asking my husband gross personal questions, so why are we taking it a step further and assaulting people now? I'm genuinely shocked that as women, or women presenting, some of you all thought it was okay to act this way. And as someone who brought him into that space, I feel responsible for him, and I'm so sad that some of my own readers were part of this behaviour. If this was you, please learn basic respect, boundaries, and how to ask for consent. Treat others the way you would want to be treated by a strange man. And for the love of God, please do not ever come near me in public. I would hope I wouldn't have to tell anyone watching this video how vile and disgusting all of that is, not to mention scary, especially with the AirTag, but unfortunately it does get worse.
While another author, Leigh Rivers, said that she was groped and dragged despite repeatedly saying no.
So reading the screenshot in Kevin's video, Leigh says, "Sinners was phenomenal and I love meeting everyone. However, can we please respect an author's boundaries? I was groped multiple times at the ball. I was dragged away from my friends and no matter how many times I said no, my words did nothing. As soon as I left, I couldn't stop crying. Please respect boundaries and consent." Which is also absolutely vile and disgusting, but there is still, unfortunately, more.
An attendee even brought an adult toy with them to the event as like a prop for photos and entertainment, and I'm all about sex positivity, but I don't think you can just shove a dick in someone's face and expect them to be okay with it.
So I have added extra emojis to try and block out the sex toy, but the first one is of the toy mounted on a wall, I would assume somewhere in the convention hall, I'm not sure. And then the second is this person just holding said toy to their body. Now, personally, I wouldn't describe myself as an avid reader of dark romance, but I have read it, I won't pretend I haven't. I don't mind it, it's not my favourite genre. I think for romance I prefer usually romantasy, or my personal favourite, but there isn't much of it, science fiction romance. But like, yeah, it's fine, I don't mind it. Some I like, some I don't. Whatever. That's not the point. The point being is I have a good understanding of the general sorts of things that go on in dark romance books. Like I feel like a general feel for the genre. And the only time the contents of those books should cross over into, you know, the real world is when you have the explicit consent of someone to do so. Just because everyone at this convention is presumably also interested in dark romance, that's not like automatic consent. That doesn't mean you have their consent to be groped or to watch you use a sex toy. Like, it shouldn't have to be said, honestly, but clearly it does. While consent isn't always considered in dark romance books, a lot of them are a bit, either have no consent or they're kind of a bit more, you're not really sure if consent has been given. Real life is not fiction, and consent should absolutely be gained before engaging in anything intimate. So like I said, being at a dark romance con is not automatic consent. Cosplaying there is not automatic consent. I'm not gonna lie, I honestly would have thought that out of everyone who would understand that the best, it would be dark romance readers. Just from interacting with other readers on TikTok and like just interact kind of generally with people, a lot of dark romance fans do seem to understand how absolutely rooted in fantasy these books are. And when I say fantasy, I mean as in sexual fantasy, not like fantasy like dragons, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter fantasy. I feel like a lot of them understand that, and that's the reason they like these kind of books, and it's a good chunk of the reason why this audience likes to read these kinds of books. And this video from Steffi really expresses this thought really, really well.
Being a woman does not negate you from being a predator. Being a woman does not mean that you do not have to ask for consent. And being a man should never open you up to assault. You are no better than the people that we read these books to heal from. How dare you? As a dark romance reader, as a dark romance content creator specifically, we are held to a higher standard than any regular romance reader. And if you didn't know that, I'm going to inform you now. You are held to a higher standard. Why? Because our chosen genre, our chosen subject matter is fucking hard. It is bloody, it is bruised, it is broken, it is painful for the writers, the readers, for everyone involved. But we heal through the pain. We pick up the broken pieces and it makes us feel whole. How fucking dare you put those authors in such an uncomfortable position to where they felt they couldn't say no? How dare you cross that line from the very fucking people that they trust? What you did at Sinners and Stardust this past weekend is the most vile, line-crossing, disgusting behavior an adult can fucking do. You put your hands on people. You assaulted people. You dragged Lee Rivers away from her safe space. She said no, and you did nothing. As a dark romance content creator, as a dark romance reader, we are held to a higher standard. Do fucking better. You have a responsibility to your people. You know what? Maybe I'm projecting. I feel I have a responsibility to my people. I am mortified on behalf of my entire community because you know what you've done? You've opened us up to the fucking hate. Again, and you did this. People from within our own community that went around putting their hands on men for no fucking reason other than their selfish desires.
I also wanted to show you all this video, but first, before I actually play you the video, let's read the comment on the screen that this creator is responding to. It's almost as if when you glorify grape and essay in a book, it alters how people react to you. Gee whiz, who possibly could have seen that coming? That is literally absolutely disgusting, absolutely vile. It's abhorrent. It's awful.
This is a very problematic statement, and I've gotten this comment in similar form a couple of times under my last video. And one thing I want you to get into your head right away is that consent is never implied. Not by what somebody wears, not by what somebody writes, and not by what somebody reads. And if you say that, if you glorify SA in books, of course people will treat you that way, is straight up victim blaming. That mindset doesn't just misunderstand consent, it excuses abuse. It's basically saying that you asked for it because of the fiction that somebody enjoys or creates. Let's be very honest, I don't believe that the commenter actually cares about consent. I think this is just for them to hate on dark romance, and they take a genre that's already stigmatized and use it as a scapegoat to justify harassment in real life. But dark romance is, after all, fiction. People can enjoy their taboo fantasies on page while still knowing and respecting boundaries in real life. And I want to say this to all of the dark romance writers and readers. Fiction is not an invitation. Enjoying or writing dark romance does not erase your right for safety. You have every right to say, I do not want that, even if you enjoy dark romance or even if you write dark romance. Consent has to be explicit, enthusiastic, and real world. Everything else is just victim blaming dressed up as an opinion.
I also found a statement on Olivia Christine's TikTok from Animus. It was an Instagram story, so it looks like it's now expired by the time I've got to it. So let's read what we can see, but we can't quite get to all of it. First and foremost, I want to thank the community for their overwhelming support since these incidences have been exposed. I also want to commend Sinners and Stardust for implementing a new guideline and rules to make events like these safer for everyone attending. Aside from the ball, I had an amazing time at the signing and I'm so grateful that I got to meet all of you. I would like to make it known that I'm not comfortable pressing charges, partly because there were a lot of people involved and because of my mask, I couldn't see very well. It's impossible to remember every one of them, and truthfully, I don't want to force myself to anyway. When I was cornered at the ball, I panicked and blacked out, so a lot of that night is a blur, and I'm still trying to process it. If I'm being honest, I felt their hands better than I think it says I could see their faces. I'm new to this world, and this was my first big event, so I'm not familiar with anyone in the community outside of my friends yet. But with that said, I do not want to put myself through any more of this by dealing with the authorities and trying to remember names and faces and who did what. I just want to make music, read awesome books, and continue to help support the amazing authors in this community. As for the AirTag, we were unable to find out who planted it after the ball. I undressed for bed, and by the time I was notified the next day, we had already left the hotel. We did confirm the AirTag was no longer on me or in my bag and was likely left somewhere, and then you can't quite read the rest, and then there is a second side, again you can't read all of it. I'm sorry if my decision is disappointing to everyone. I know you all have asked that I press charges, and I really don't want to upset any of you by not doing so. I just wanted awareness so precautions can be put in place to protect others in the future. Situations like these are far too common, and even though I'm upset it happened to me, I'm just glad to know the event is taking steps to help prevent it from happening again in the future. I hope other book events can do the same so all people feel safe. There is quite a bit more to that statement, but I can't make out the rest, but Olivia honestly in this video expresses it all really brilliantly.
So Animus, the musical artist and cosplayer who was assaulted this past weekend at Sinners and Stardust, has released a statement. Okay, in it he basically says that he blacked out and he cannot remember most faces and therefore he does not feel comfortable pressing charges. The next incredibly concerning thing is he confirms that there was an AirTag that was attached to him and followed him to his hotel, and they've been unable to figure out where that came from. That is incredibly disturbing and concerning. Nothing excuses that behavior. That is terrifying. He then goes on to apologize for doing what he needs to do to protect his mental health, for disappointing people, for not wanting to press charges. If anyone is in this man's comments like this, saying that he should have set better boundaries, really, you need to be clocked upside the fucking head. You need to be clocked upside the head. You are in a victim's comment section, blaming him, attacking him. You're a disgusting piece of trash. It sounds like he has a great support system around him, thank goodness. I really hope he takes the time to do what he needs to do for his own mental health and not let the toxicity of the internet in general get to him. This poor man. You guys, everyone, not just Book Talk, the entire convention community, anime, TV, you know, shit like this happens at SDCC. Like, needs to do better. There needs to be better security measures in place.
And as you may have expected, the con did indeed respond to all of this. Sinners and Stardust 2025 announcements. We are endlessly grateful to every single one of you who joined us for Sinners and Stardust, those who respected the heart of this community by asking for consent and honouring personal space. Our mission with Sinners and Stardust has always been to create something rare, a space where the dark romance community can feel safe, celebrated, and free to share their love of the stories that move us most. We need to be absolutely clear. Safety, security, and consent are not just values, they are non-negotiable. No is a complete sentence. Our authors, narrators, vendors, influencers, artists, and special guests are not just names on a book cover or faces on a screen. They are people. Human beings who deserve the same dignity, safety, and respect as every attendee. They give their time, talent, and energy to this community, and in return, we expect every single person in attendance to treat them with the respect they deserve. Moving forward, the following changes will be in place at all Sinners and Stardust events. Masks. Attendees are no longer allowed to wear full masks to any part of our event. No exceptions. Medical masks for health and safety are permitted. Entertainment. Entertainment will continue, but roaming interactive entertainers will no longer be part of the ball. Safety for our guests. Authors, narrators, vendors, their assistants, our influencers, and special guests will now have a secure, dedicated area during the ball, with their own security. They may move freely between areas, but attendees are not permitted in their area under any circumstances. If an attendee is caught trying to go into their secured space, they will be immediately removed and banned from future events. Smaller, safer events. We are decreasing the number of tickets available to ensure a more comfortable, safe, and respectful experience for everyone. These rules are not suggestions, they are expectations. Violations, including harassments, non-consensual touching, photos taken without permission, invasive questions, or any behaviour that makes others feel unsafe will result in immediate removal and a permanent ban from all future Sinners and Stardust hosted events. These events thrive because of passion, creativity, and community, but community cannot exist without respect. Every single attendee has a responsibility to uphold these standards. To anyone affected this weekend negatively, from the bottom of our hearts, we are truly sorry and will work harder to gain your trust back as a safe and inclusive event. To everyone who respected boundaries and helped us uphold the spirits of this community, we're truly grateful. Your care makes all the difference, and we can't wait to welcome you to all future events. All our love, Jen, Bethany, Joy, and Red. Now, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think their response was bad. I think it was pretty good, but it doesn't really matter what they do going forward. Whilst all those implementations sound like they're going to be great, this assault has already happened to Animus. Other person already saw the person with the sex toy. Lee Rivers was already dragged off from her friends and people didn't listen when she was saying no. These people are going to have those memories forever. So while absolutely it is great they are putting these measures in place going forward, and hopefully future Sinners and Stardust cons are going to be in much safer places, nothing obviously can reverse what has already happened. So I said before, like, the general running of the con, the operation management of the con, didn't seem to be the reason this happened, but while the rest of the con, as far as I have heard, seems to have gone well, I didn't see anything about the rest of the convention being bad in any way. The ball looks great as well in comparison to other book convention balls I've covered. It did seem like a largely good con, but in terms of like the operation management of the con, it didn't seem like they had much security from what I've heard, whether just to protect like specifically authors and special guests and vendors and stuff, or just kind of like in general. Everyone going to a convention of any kind, book or otherwise, should feel safe. Author, guest, attendee, cosplayer, whoever they are, should feel safe. So it is absolutely great they're going to have that security going forward, but that's of no use to the people who were hurt at this con because there wasn't enough security in place already. So that is pretty much everything I have to say. It's honestly just sickening that this happened. I hope everyone who was affected, who attended this con, will ultimately be okay, and if you have been affected by the contents discussed in the video, I will leave some resources linked down below in the description box, so please check them out before you head off to watch something else. So that's all I have to say about the situation. I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!